The Lake Erie water snake was pushed to the brink of extinction when humans moved in. Now, it's fighting for its existence. And it's getting help from an unlikely source.
So this tiny little fish has had devastating effects in the Great Lakes.
But can the researchers get rid of the invaders and help the snakes at the same time?
Okay, Jen, you wanna? Nothing.
Nobody home.
On South Bass Island in Lake Erie, this team is on a hunt.
Oh, there he goes, there he goes. All right, ready? Oh, there's that one. Got it? Got it. Sweet. Nice. All right, good job, guys. Ready? Yep. Bingo! Got one.
They're looking for this.
So this is the Lake Erie water snake. What's cool about these guys is they're endemic to the islands, which means they're only found here in the western basin of Lake Erie.
There used to be many more of them here. When the French first settled the islands in the 1700s, they named them the Snake Islands because of all the reptilian residents. But then the humans moved in and took over.
In the early 80s, we were down to a population of only about 500 snakes. In 1999, the Lake Erie water snake was listed on the federal endangered species list, but they were listed as a threatened species.
Now, Lizzie Mack and her team are here searching for snakes to help them slither back from the brink of extinction.
Even if you go back to the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible, you know, people have been scared of snakes for a long time. They were here before us, that's what I always say. Everything, it was all here before us. And so we need to be really careful about how we treat those things.
The island is only 6 kilometers long, but there are plenty of spots for the snakes to hide.
Let's see. Did you see one? Oh, yeah. I got both of them. Okay. Blair. Oh, do you have one too? Oh, we all got him. Okay, here we go. Rodeo time. Come on, guys. Come on.
Here, I got mine. I got a bag.
Okay, can you grab one of these and I can work them out? Okay. This one's coming. All right, so here's Big Mama. Come here, Big Mama. There we go. You want to put her in here? Would that be easier? Nice. Cool, good job, guys. Go, go, go. They're over there. I saw like 3.
The snakes are fast and tough to catch on land, practically impossible in water.
What we do is we tag team, where we have one person up on land and one person down in water, and we try to team up and hit them at the same time. Ready? Everybody came this way. Awesome. Okay, here. Woo! Angry. Got it? Cool. Good job, guys.
The snakes aren't exactly thrilled about being snatched from their warm hiding spots.
So I got bit by a Lake Erie water snake.
Among snake biologists, it's kind of a joke. Working with Nerodia, which is the genus of all the water snakes in North America, it's kind of the dirtiest and worst and meanest snakes. They're pretty vicious and they bite quite readily.
They're not venomous, but they pretend to be, to ward off predators.
The water snake actually mimic venomous snakes as defensive mechanisms, and so obviously that can confuse somebody. The water snakes will flatten out so they get a really triangular head and look more like the venomous cottonmouth that we find in the southern United States. And so people are scared. It's scary looking and they think it's a cottonmouth, and so they may kill the snake. They're fun to work with though. They're fun to catch. They're really cool snakes once you get to work with them, especially these guys are quite long-lived. We have records of some living up to 13 or 14 years, so it's really exciting when you catch one in subsequent years and you can see it in the data set. I think they have cute faces and they kind of look like they're smiling sometimes. He's looking at me. He doesn't seem too scared or mad.
If snakes could smile, the Lake Erie water snake would have a good reason. In recent years, they've been making an incredible recovery.
I was out here for the season last year. At the end of the summer, I think we had about 4,500 captures. So that includes recaptures. And I think we tagged close to 1,000 new snakes.
The water snake's comeback is partly thanks to the work of researchers like Lizzie. But credit also goes to a surprising source, an invasive species, the round goby.
In the early 90s, the round goby was introduced into the Great Lakes. It came over in ballast water from ships from Russia. The proliferation of the gobies actually saved the snakes.
The gobies quickly became like Popeye's spinach for the snakes. They started growing bigger and stronger, and their population started to recover.
Once the snakes started eating the gobies, the snakes are getting bigger, they're reproducing more often, so the population just exploded. You so rarely hear of an invasive species actually helping out a native species. So just from a nerdy ecology standpoint, it's very interesting.
It's good news for the snakes, but not exactly good news for the rest of the species in the lakes. The gobies are taking over these waters.
In the Western Basin alone, we have 9 billion estimated round gobies, just the Western Basin of Lake Erie, not even the whole lake. And they're really detrimental because they compete with native fish for nesting sites.
Already, 29 bottom-dwelling species have moved out of the lakes because of the goby invasion. Unlike most snakes, water snakes eat once a day, sometimes twice. That's a lot of fish being eaten. Lizzie and the other researchers need to be clear on what exactly the water snakes are eating and how much.
Oh yeah, we gotta barf.
To do that, they have to get creative. On South Bass Island in Lake Erie, Lizzie, Jen, and Blair are trying to catch as many Lake Erie water snakes as possible.
Okay, ready?
They need to get a clear picture of the size of the population, which means they need to collect every single snake they can find.
Oh, there's one. Oh, baby.
Oh, no, pull. He's right there still. Oh, there's a bunch.
Oh, there's one. Oh. Come here.
See any more, Blair? A lot of people don't realize that there are snakes that don't lay eggs, and they can have 25 to 30 young, so it's pretty impressive. These little guys are a great example of the polymorphism in the water snakes. And so polymorphism is the different color patterns, and you can see, even though all of these guys are striped, there's really, really large differences. And that's one of the cool things about the Lake Erie water snake. So they made it through their first winter, which is an awesome sign.
Further down the coast, they find another good sign.
Hey, I got a fox.
Oh, sweet!
A fox snake, another endangered species. one with a much kinder personality than the Lake Erie water snake.
So this is something you wouldn't want to do with a water snake. Because it'll be chewing on your arm. Yeah.
Every snake helps their research, so even though this isn't their species of study, they bring it along.
We take it with us. We'll see if he's got a microchip, and if not, we'll chip him and measure him and all that good stuff. So he comes back to the lab with us too.
Now, with dozens of snakes captured, the team moves fast to get all the information they can.
Okay, so what we're doing now is we're gonna process the snakes, what we call processing. And when we do this, we're gonna take all of the standard measurements, so snout vent length, which is from the tip of the nose to the vent. Now I'm gonna pit tag her. So I'm inserting the microchip under her skin, just right under, and I just injected it.
To know how healthy the snake is, they have to know what it's eating. For that, they make it give up its lunch.
Oh yeah, guys, we gotta pray at him, so let's barf her. All right, ready, Blair? Come on, sweetie. Please don't bite me. See the bulge? We're close. There it is. Nice. Oh, little slime. Goby, as we suspected. Here it is. Oh, Goby. So the way that we know that the gobies impacted the snake so positively is because we've always been doing a really a long-term prey study. So when we catch the snakes, we regurgitate them to see what they're eating. You know, you don't know much about the life history of an animal unless you know what they're eating.
Okay, here's the barf.
Okay. Here we go, here we go. Here it is.
Up comes the fish. And sure enough, each and every time, it's a goby.
They totally switched their prey base from eating native fish and amphibians to eating almost exclusively. I mean, 99% now, we find the snakes eating gobies. I'm gonna mark her with grease paint, so if we see her again soon, we won't take all those measurements just to save time. And then we'll take her mass, take her weight, and that's it. And so that's what we do with all the snakes we catch. Got it? All right, next.
In the lab, they work up the baby water snakes.
Okay, so what Blair is doing now is he's sexing the neonates, or the baby snakes. Their tails are so much smaller that it's hard to tell just by tail shape if they're male or female. So what we actually do is we press on the base of the tail near the cloaca, and we can actually avert the hemipenes, as you see right here. And what that means is that by applying pressure, we can actually get the penises to pop out of the male's body. You can only do that with the small snakes. It doesn't hurt them, and it's a really easy way to sex them. Got a little boy.
They don't make the babies give up their lunch, but they find one more adult who's just downed a meal.
We keep track of which snake it came from and what site it came from. And then we just put the tag in there with the fish. And you can see that this is, in fact, a goby. And he is pretty far digested. Sometimes we try and sex them. Based on size, this may be a male, but we just stick him back in the jar and put some ethanol in there. And now we have a yummy barf.
Even their captive snake, Ethel, gets a goby for lunch. Early on, the team noticed the snakes were almost exclusively eating male gobies.
So when the male is guarding the nest, the snakes can just swim by and pick them off really easily. Because they don't leave, they guard the nest and they're very territorial. That's actually could be making more of an impact, because what happens is when a snake comes by and picks off a male goby that's guarding a nest, another male goby will move in and eat the eggs. So you've actually decreased the reproductive output of the species.
There are now 12,000 Lake Erie water snakes on these islands, enough to get them delisted from the federal list of threatened species. That doesn't happen very often. 12,000 snakes can eat about 1 million gobies per year. That's only a drop in the bucket when there are 9 billion gobies swimming in these waters. But it seems that Mother Nature is stepping in to keep the populations in check.
So this is the 2006 collection. Compare that to our 2014 collection.
In this trawling boat out on Lake Erie, they're collecting round gobies, an invasive fish taking over Lake Erie.
In 1980, before gobies were here, we used to have about 109 species of fish in Lake Erie. Round goby by far are the most numerous. They're the most abundant fish in the lake, I think, at this point. They literally cover the entire bottom. And on top of it, we're looking at maybe as many as 29 species that have been eliminated as a result. And in that 10-minute trawl, we could have anywhere from a couple hundred fish to maybe several thousand. We've had nets come in with over 10,000 fish in them.
God, so many fish.
They're tiny, but they have power in numbers. Female gobies can spawn every 20 days, having thousands of offspring in their lifetime. They're extremely aggressive, attacking other bottom-dwelling fish and eating their eggs. Now, they're the only bottom-dwelling species left in this part of the lake. Today, this crew catches over 100 in just a few minutes. Tom Simon is trying to see if any are lurking right next to the shore.
So we've just deployed the seine, and now we're going to start working up to shore. And all we're doing is slowly moving up. The goal is we don't have to go fast. We got the fish trapped already. They don't know it, but we do. As we roll across the rocks, any small gobies that might be in the interstitial spaces of these stones will be stirred up and kicked up into the net. Okay, so here's a male round goby. This particular individual is a very large male. This would be one of the larger individuals we'd probably collect. He's recognized by his large spot on the dorsal fin. This large black spot is very key character. It's like a flag for us to be able to recognize him. They also have a fused pelvic fin, and that fin gives us the opportunity to see that they kind of use it as a suction cup. So that suction cup helps them to stick to rocks. So let me go ahead and put them in some water here so we can look at them a little bit better. We also have, it looks like a tube-nosed goby. And here's the tube nose right here. Tube nose are much smaller. The reason they have their name is they have two very small, tiny tubes that come off their snout for sensory. You can see there's a lot of little babies. That's a tube nose. Tube nose. Here's another tube nose. Smallmouth bass.
Gobies were first spotted in 1991 in Detroit. The theory is that they came over in the ballast of a tanker ship from the Black Sea near Russia. At first, the fish was a novelty, and there were no efforts to keep them from spreading.
Never in the wildest dreams did anybody ever think that they would explode like they did. They just went every direction you could possibly think of. They started working up towards Chicago. They came into southern Indiana towards Michigan. And it only took about 3 years for them to make it all the way around the southern and northern edge of the lake.
In the Black Sea, gobies grow to be around 20 centimeters long. When gobies first arrived in Lake Erie, they were about half that. And a look at Tom's goby collection shows just how much smaller they've gotten in the past few years.
So in 2006, when we first started looking at round gobies, one of the things we noticed is that they were a lot larger. It would not be unusual for us to get gobies about this size. That would be normal. Today, our largest ones, well, of course, we caught that one large one that you got to see, but most of them are about this size, somewhere between 100 and 125 millimeters, as opposed to 150 to 175 millimeters.
The cause? Algae blooms. Known to pop up in Lake Erie thanks to heavy rains pushing agricultural runoff into the water. Lake Erie is susceptible to these blooms because it's so shallow. In 2011, almost 5,000 square kilometers were covered. Tom thinks that killed off the big gobies that couldn't swim away fast enough.
Algae is becoming a problem. We have a term we call HABs, or harmful algal blooms, and as a result, those harmful algal blooms are kind of creating some problems. One of those problems is it takes oxygen out of the water. I think that the gobies are not very fast swimmers. They tend to be benthic, so they're staying at the bottom, and that's where the oxygen was depleted. I think we lost the big gobies. Now, some people would say that's a good thing, right? Because we lost the large fish, but that also forced them up into the shallows. So anything that could get away moved up into the shallows. And I think because of the enhanced competition now of all these fish that have been moved out of other habitats, we're starting to see maybe a little bit of a density-dependent selection going on. And some of the fish are starting to react in such a way that they're smaller.
There are still billions of gobies, just not big ones. A lack of oxygen choking out even the hardiest of invasive species isn't good for the lake. The gobies are starting to make themselves a part of the food chain. Slowly, the animals of the lake are starting to depend on them for survival, like the Lake Erie water snakes.
I personally believe that it's too late to get rid of gobies. Now we have to just be smart about how we manage them. But they're basically the bottom of the food chain for the entire Great Lakes. If we got rid of them, we would see major effects throughout all of the fisheries of the Great Lakes. What we probably want to look at is more along the lines of what is a healthy number. You know, what would be a good number of gobies? Not that we want to have dead zones in the lakes, but maybe that gives us another chance to really understand the population dynamics of the species and try to figure out what it's doing.
After a long day of gathering snakes, it's time now for Lizzie, Jen, and Blair to set them free.
See you later, guys. Come on. Come on. There you go. There we go. These snakes are only found on these islands. So we really want the people to own it and to be proud of having this cool, unique animal here. And now they're even providing a service by eating the gobies that really negatively affect the fisheries in the Western Basin. So often you don't hear about conservation success stories where you can actually have an end product and see, wow, we saved this animal. And we have that story with the Lake Erie water snake, and we're really proud of it.